Hey, hello. I just thought I'd do a spontaneous Agile Evening session. I don't have a specific topic as I did in the other sessions. I just had the urge to just go online, test my setup again. Maybe even try a new background, right? Because it's so late, we can go for the more casual background here. Again, if you're interested and if you are into reading about agility, then feel free to hop onto the Agile Compass. It's just a free newsletter where I share my understanding, my experience from more than 20 years of doing Agile transformations and working in Agile companies. I've had startups, I've worked with global corporations. So I've had many insights and I see few patterns repeat. I don't have all the answers, but I've seen a lot and I just share that on the Agile Compass for free. So if you're into reading, because today I heard someone say she's not into reading, she's rather listening to me. So then, yeah, please hop onto these live sessions. And if you really want to go deeper than just these sessions, then I also have a mastermind session where we meet like in a small group on a Zoom session. And you can not only comment, by the way, please comment here and so that I can see it if you have questions. But there you can not only comment, but you can we can get into discussions. You can ask questions, specifically things that are that you are concerned with in your job, maybe as a Scrum Master, as an Agile coach, as a developer, as a leader. So that I can help you and that the other Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, Agile practitioners there can help you. So if you're interested in that, send me a message and then I can send you the link there. But for those who like to read, go to the Agile Compass. The Agile Compass is my passion project for this year. Apart from my other passion project, so there's two, which is the Agile Coach Education Program. That's a very deep thing. This is a 6-month education program. It's stretched over 6 months so that you can do it in parallel to your job. And this is really going into all the depth of all the knowledge I have, trying to pass it on so that you can do Agile transformations, that you can actually deal with the resistance, that you actually understand what makes Agile or agility work in practice. Because it's not just the frameworks or a certification or something. It's so much more. It's psychology, it's behavioral science, it's understanding motivation, it's understanding people, but it's also technical things like what is continuous integration, what is the red-green refactor cycle in software and in hardware, why do we use test-driven development and how is it different from testing and QA? All these things And then the important basis of assuming positive intent and the new view of the human being that is underneath that. And we also talk and teach how you can get people to actually change their behavior. Because only talking about it is not enough. You actually have to help them to change behavior and to change the culture and the mindset in a company. So, but for now, let's just talk about random agile topics. And please just let me know what you want to talk about or questions you have. Maybe I can, and I just don't have my Stream Deck connected right now. And I cannot quickly connect it because there's a hard drive and I had to unconnect. Yeah, okay. So doing it by hand. Here is, for example, this is also part from the Agile Coach Education Program. I mean, last time I showed you the other part on the foundation where it's really about motivation. And I just released another or published another TikTok video on the idea of intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, which is a very interesting topic and an important topic as I see. And maybe I can devote a part of the session to that. And of course, we dive deep into this in the Agile Coach Education Program, and also how you, like with exercises, how you can actually get it done, how you can build trust and psychological safety and all that stuff. Last time we also talked about organizational structures and the challenges, like dependencies that we have, or is alignment and autonomy possible? Are these polar opposites? Spoiler alert, they are not. You can unite them. What solutions do we have here that how we can build agile organizations? That's all. That's just a little teaser what's in the whole program if you're interested in that. Again, if you want to check it out and don't know where it is, just send me on LinkedIn, just send me a message. Or just comment on this live session, I guess. I should see that as well. And this is about the Agile transformation. This is from last year's alumni who went through the Agile Coach Education Program, the ACE program. So the thing here is an agile transformation. Like, the paradox here is, let me get into the presenter mode and remove the clutter. Yes. The paradox of agile transformations, as I see them done in practice far too often, is that an agile transformation is often planned as a waterfall project. Did you ever notice that? It's often that an agile transformation is set up, you make a big plan, then you think about who needs certifications, who needs to be trained when, and then there's kind of like almost a Gantt chart. I've had companies and who did it like that. They almost had these Gantt charts where they said, okay, these 3 teams are going to be trained, then coached for a few weeks, then they can run on their own, then the next batch is overlappingly already trained and then coached when the others are through, and so on. And at a certain point in time, we are agile. That is kind of crazy to me, because planning an agile transformation in a waterfall way is kind of, I don't know. Do you have a word for this? I don't. I just think it's crazy. So an agile transformation should be agile. I mean, come on. So the idea is, we should approach it, yes, with a plan, with a rough plan, what we want to do and how we approach it. We should analyze where the pain points are, where we have the biggest lever. Like, there's so much we can do. That's the problem, the curse of coaches coming in. Every time I come in, or my colleagues, we come into a company for an agile transformation, we immediately see so much that is going off the rails and that needs fixing. Some things just take time. You watch it. That's important for coaches. You watch for 3 or 4 weeks without doing anything. That's difficult. Just keep still. It's difficult. And you just watch and observe. Because half of the stuff that you saw and thought it needed fixing immediately After a few weeks of observing, you understand why they do it that way, and it actually makes sense. So that's a good practice as a coach. Do not overreact initially. At the same time, note what you see. Like, still observe everything. And then just cross it out as you see that it kind of makes sense in the way they do it and they don't have any other chance to do it. And then find where you have levers to really move the thing, because there's so much we can do. And I fall into that trap again and again, that I think, wow, this is an interesting topic. We should fix this, but it's not the most important thing right now. So we have to focus our energy on the most important stuff. And then we do something about it. We assess, did it deliver the results? And we constantly do a job clarification with the client. Like, is it still on track? Is it delivering what you expected? And then we iterate. We go on to the next and the next and the next, and we iterate from there on. And we have to adapt, because every company is different. When you deal with humans, it's a complex system always, and everyone's different. And yes, we have a plan, and we have some plans in our minds that usually work. But the thing is to not have a too detailed plan, right? That's the whole Agile thing. We want to go in there and have a rough plan, have an idea, but then just measure and learn and adapt. So that's the first thing important, okay? An Agile transformation is not a waterfall implementation. And yeah, it's just amazing to me how often this is done wrong. And something that is also maybe a little a problem, there is, if you look at SAFe and the SAFe implementation roadmap, I don't even know if I have it here. Is it? No, I don't have it. The SAFe implementation roadmap, it says, it looks like a roadmap. It's this typical that when you look for marketing slides or infographics, you get this roadmap. The exact roadmap that SAFe has as the implementation roadmap. You get that. It's just a blueprint for, I don't know, explain people what you're going to do. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing to explain people what you do. I still have to do that for the Agile Coach Education Program. I have to paint such a roadmap so that people know what is coming when and which phases we are going through. I think that would help people. It's still, we will customize a lot. We will deviate from that. But just to have a backbone and to know what to expect. And I think I will do a few webinars probably before the next ACE program starts, to just get questions from people and answer questions, because I know it's so many topics that you sometimes think, oh, is this the right thing for me? I don't know. And then we can just clarify that, and you can say, no, this is not the right thing for you, or yes, it might be the right thing for you. But these roadmaps, and in SAFe, they have them. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Let me see. Yeah, I was experimenting with my setup here. You can see that. Researching stuff here, which is nice. And so, Scaled Agile. Let's look there. Yes. And then we have that snake here. That's the roadmap. Let's look at this. This thing here. This is what I'm talking about. So this is a standard thing. SAFe didn't invent that, okay? You get that as on Canva or as a marketing slide. You get that everywhere. And as I said, it's not a bad thing. It's a good idea to give people a roadmap. The trouble with that roadmap, it's not meant that way, okay? If you know SAFe, you know it's not meant that way, but it looks a lot like it has a start and a finish. It has not. So that's not what it's meant to be, okay? It doesn't start here and then here is finished. It's basically, I mean, the last phases, if you look at this, the acceleration phase, it's basically an iteration. It's going through a whole thing basically again. Yes, you have an initial startup where you kind of get the buy-in from management, and then you start your first release train, and then you scale it basically. The last thing here is basically scaling, moving outwards, adding more teams, adding more release trains, adding the portfolio level, which is important. The budgeting and the portfolio, how you allocate budgets and finance fund projects, or not projects, but value streams actually. So that's a big shift on the portfolio and on the budgeting level. But most companies don't start there. It just becomes a roadblock further down the line when you have agile teams and agile teams of teams. Then you notice that the budgeting becomes a roadblock. So this is why SAFe made the choice to kind of add that later. Usually it's not, nobody is preventing you from adding it earlier. But the trouble with this is it looks like it has a start and a finish, but it doesn't. Because this thing here, and especially the last one, the measure and grow, is essentially, rinse and repeat, right? So it's important to understand that an agile transformation should be done in an agile way. This is also why we usually have a team of the people who lead the agile transformation. This is usually us as agile coaches, but this is also people who can make decisions, like our champions in the company, managers usually, department leads, and then also internal people, internal agile coaches ideally, or people who want to become agile coaches. So that these people can actually, these are kind of like a small agile team, or they are an agile team, and their job is to do the agile transformation, to help the company deliver more value, be more adaptable, be more innovative. And what you do with that, in SAFe they call it the LACE team, the Lean Agile Center of Excellence. So SAFe took a lot of these patterns that we use in other contexts and just put them all into that one framework. So it's just a nice box of tools if you look into it. And this, you don't have to be a fan of SAFe to appreciate all these tools that are there. And this small team acts like an agile team. So they iterate. They have goals they want to achieve. They implement experiments. They do things. They measure the impact of the experiments, and then they make decisions what to do next. Okay, so it's pretty similar. So yeah, for the transformation, what is important? It's important to have the transformation goal. This is the first thing that's so important. And it's difficult sometimes because as an agile coach, we sometimes come in later. Like we come in when other things already failed. So sometimes there is an agile transformation that has been going on for years already. And now you come in and you see often a solid misunderstanding of what agility is. Focus on frameworks, focus on the organizational structure, instead of the focus on the real cultural change and the change in the view of the human being. And then also the techniques like automated tests and something it is often not in place, even after years. So you kind of have to work with what you got. So it's difficult to then clarify the transformation goal and make clear that the goal they had all along might be built on a wrong basis. And if you are lucky enough to come in initially with the first agile transformation, then your question should be, what is the problem? And what are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to do here? Because becoming agile is not, what does it do for you? What does it do anything for your customers, for your shareholders, for your job? No, it's just, why do you want to become agile? Because it's a new trend and everyone is doing it. In fact, there is this, we now know that the most valuable companies in the world are all agile. So it's probably, yes, so we want to be like that, we want to be like that. Every company screams that. But you have to be clear about what agility can give you and what not. And also what the cost of agility is. And I don't mean the cost of our daily rates. That's a significant cost as well. But in comparison to the rest of the cost you have, it's tiny. And the cost you have is first and foremost that you might have to change things you are not ready to change yet. Especially managers changing themselves, their own management style, their whole organizational structure, maybe. Their view of people, their view of the world. That's what it sometimes comes down to. So it shakes the foundation of their understanding of the world that they have had or carried for decades. And are you ready to challenge that? Are you ready to work on that, reflect it, and maybe change it if you like it? And that has to be clarified up front. Because if you just have the commitment that, oh yeah, we want to be agile because we want everything to be faster and cheaper, and we heard that you're more successful with agility, then there is this mentality of, yeah, go there, make them agile, leave me alone, just make them agile so that they work faster. And that's not how it works. Because the higher up in the management pyramid you are, the more you will change or have to change if you want to become agile. A minute ago, we talked about lean budgeting and portfolio management in an agile context. It significantly changes how your company approaches this, the whole product portfolio. You have to rethink that. You don't have to throw out everything, still do the same stuff, but you have to fundamentally rethink how you do that, how you invest. For example, budgeting for a project. In the traditional waterfall world, it's based on cost estimates. You assess the costs, you make the bottom-up costing, and then you grant the budget. You only, if at all, roughly think about profit. Yes, there should be a profit involved, but you don't calculate that. You don't estimate that deeply. Maybe you have a business case, but it's not validated or something. Most waterfall companies focus on bottom-up costing of the cost, the effort. And an agile company thinks the other way around. We don't care as much about cost. Yes, we do, but what we care about is the profit and the value we can generate. That's much more important. Because for a successful product, it's sometimes, if you look at successful products, like products that Apple gets out or other companies, the cost is not the decisive factor. Yes, it's nice to bring costs down, but hey, even if cost is significantly higher, it still works. It's the risk is not in the cost and can we build it and can we build it economically, but the risk is usually in the market side. Does anybody want that? Can we build a product that's really that useful? So we should spend most of our time on the market side and assessing that, not on the cost side and the estimating bottom up for budgeting. So budgeting becomes less a estimate and then the cost game. Budgeting becomes more almost like a betting game. There are people who call this bets, placing bets. It's an investment game. View it as an investment game. You have a certain amount of money available. You have an opportunity in the market. You have a certain risk that it doesn't work, and you have a certain chance that it works. How much are you willing to bet on that market opportunity given the expected return you will get? You expect to get. That's it. That's how budgeting should work. And there is nothing about cost in there. Yes, you should do a rough check whether this is feasible to do with yeah, what you have. But for most projects, it's actually the market side we should spend more time with. And most companies spend too much time on the cost side. Costs are important. Yes, they are. But basing your whole budgeting and project portfolio planning on that is kind of like what do they call that? An anachronism. It's from a different time. So clarify the transformation goal. What do you want to achieve? Maybe there's a problem right now. Maybe you have a bottleneck. 15 years ago, 10 years ago even, 15 years ago, when I was called into companies, they said, we have a problem. Feature development slowing down, or we are not innovative enough in the development department. Yes, okay, we can do something about that. We can do something about that with agility. But the goal was never to become agile. That was just a stepping stone. That was just a means to an end. And people, before we start an agile transformation, they have to understand what, and by the way, I'm just missing the comments. Yeah, but nobody commented yet, so I guess I don't see anything. I hope it's working. Yeah, let's hope it's working. So, where was I? Yeah, clarifying the goal, very important, and clarifying what you have to give up for that. So it also affects management. You cannot simply turn the teams, make them agile, and leave the rest alone, and go on like you may have done in the past. I've seen companies, financial institutions, just making the delivery department agile and not the rest, and then wondering why they don't see the benefits that were promised to them. Yeah, duh. That's not how it works. We have to clarify that up front. Excuse me. I don't have my push to mute button now that the Stream Deck's not connected. Agile teams, yes. Cross-functional, motivated, professional, and self-managing. That's the core. I don't have to tell most of you about that. But the Agile team, there is a lot to that, a lot behind that, how we can get that done. Because cross-functional, yes, okay. Motivated, how do you get people motivated? There's a lot about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation here that we have to understand. The motivators. And this is just another part of the ACE program where we talk about motivation a lot, because that's how do people work? They don't work with carrots and sticks. Like promising people a bonus or setting them deadlines doesn't work, especially not with knowledge workers. So why do we still try to do it? So that's important to understand. For the motivated team, it's a team of professionals. Sometimes I see companies just putting together a team of juniors and expecting them to be agile, just leaving them alone, basically. That approach, we are not supposed to manage them, they should do it on their own. And then the most senior person, the most experienced person from the team, the engineer, is made the product owner or is made a manager somewhere. And so they are deprived of their biggest engineering assets and knowledge asset. And then you expect a team of juniors to do something? I mean, nothing against juniors, but they need seniors to pair with, to learn from. And I see that over and over again, just to sticking together juniors. And then they sometimes put junior scrum masters in the teams. It's okay, we all have to start somewhere. It's great to have junior scrum masters, but the scrum master is supposed, on a scrum team, if you're doing scrum, the scrum master is supposed to be the most experienced person about agility in the room. And if they just came out of a 2-day certification training and have no other experience, then they need a coach at their side or an experienced Scrum Master. They need someone to help them. You cannot leave them alone and just say, yeah, we hired a cheap Scrum Master. It doesn't work like that. It would be nice if it did, but it doesn't. So professional and self-managing. Let the people manage themselves, but you have to trust them for that. And also an important aspect are, of course, the stakeholders. To whom do we deliver value? And do we actually deliver value to them? Who are the stakeholders? And is it transparent? Is it all so transparent to the team? Do they know? Because I've seen companies where the teams, the teams didn't know who the customers were. I mean, sometimes they knew who the customers are, the business customers, but they couldn't see the numbers. Like they didn't know which customer made the bulk of the money for the company, and what they actually did. This data was hidden from them. But if you want to be agile, you have to be transparent. You have to share that data with the teams so that they can make the decisions. So yeah, I'm getting upset because I see that so often, and it's just that holding on to the old waterfall world and thinking if we just make the teams agile, then everything would magically be fine. No, there's so much more. Look at agile companies. Look at a company. I like to look at Tesla. Like not everything is great at Tesla, but hey, they had a heck of a run, okay? And they get a heck of great engineers. Tesla and SpaceX seem to be the most favored companies for engineers in the US when they leave university and leave college. It's insane, and they don't pay that much. That's the thing. That's when we talk about extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. The thing is, you don't need to pay the highest salary. You need to pay a fair and competitive salary, but not the highest. People work because of different things. And if you cater to these different things, then people will be happy. And it's not, we don't need ever more money. If we have enough and it's fair and we can lead a decent life, there are other factors that are important. And so many companies just don't understand that. And there's so much more to agility, like this transparency. In Tesla, because, as an example, all the data, everything is transparent to everyone in the company. There's also Whole Foods as an example that has been around much longer than Tesla. They also, the employees, everyone in the shop, they have access to all the business data. They can order things. Also at Tesla, they can just order things and do things with the suppliers. There's complete transparency and trust. This is how it works. But to get to that transparency and trust, it usually takes a change in the minds of people, of the managers, and it takes a change of the mind of the organization. Because it's not only the people, it's some of this old mindset is frozen or baked into the organizational structure and the process structure. So we have to work on that. Before we can work on that, we have to help people reflect on that, whether this is still helpful, even if it was helpful in the past. Does it still make sense? Does it deliver the result that we want? Do we deliver value to stakeholders? Okay. This is also how we do an agile transformation. We have a goal clarified. We have the agile team called the LACE team in SAFe. We have stakeholders, which are usually the people who pulled us in, department heads, management, sometimes the board, sometimes a management team. And then we have things we do. We have a board. That's just like any other agile team. And we work through that. We constantly inspect and adapt. This is how you do agile transformations. And then yes, there's more. I don't want to get into all the nitty-gritty details. Again, I don't want to do an ACE session, an Agile Coach Education session completely. If you want to take part in that, just go ahead and sign up. I would welcome you for the next. The next one is starting in April, late April this year, but you can already sign up. Yeah, and this is basically clarifying the job, getting buy-in, observing what I already told you, and then make the plan, and you go from there. This is kind of the kickstart, and then implementing it and how you do it. Yeah, come on, we can talk about that another time. So I'd like to talk a little bit about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Let me quickly check, because I had an article. By the way, this is also the Agile Compass. A few of the articles are public, so you can still see them. But if you really want to get everything, you just sign up for the free newsletter. And no, I don't have the article out on the intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation yet. Okay, not a problem. Then let's just talk about that now. So, and I hear my family coming with the sushi. So I can go for 10 more minutes, I think, and then I have to wrap up. Extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. This is the big thing, basically, the McGregor. This is how I, in the past, often started my Agile training. So be it a Scrum Master training, a Product Owner training, is talking about the McGregor management theories. The basic thing is that in the past, with Frederick Winslow Taylor, in his scientific management, we thought about extrinsic motivation. We thought, if we want to get people to do something, we have to set deadlines, we have to check on them, and we have to give them a bonus or more money. And that's basically the image of the economic robot, as I call it. It's the Homo economicus. It's the very rational human being that is just trying to get the carrot and trying not to get the stick. And this is basically how many companies operate today. This is how management is done in many places still. There are bonus systems, there are promotion systems. If you achieve your annual goal or your quarterly goal, then you get an extra bonus or you get promoted, or not if you don't achieve it. And there are even companies who have a rule where the 10% low performers, I hate the word, low performers are fired every year. So it's carrots and sticks approach. And in the last live session, I talked long about how you can do experiments with your kids about that. I mean, it's not about literal sticks. It's just about giving them a carrot, or not a carrot, probably sweets with kids, promising them a reward for doing something. And you can just watch them lose their intrinsic motivation and their fire in it. So this is not how we want to view people. Because if we do that, we have a problem. There is something, the intrinsic motivation, and this is Dan Pink in the Drive book. By the way, Drive, the book, if you're interested in that. If you haven't read it, it's a great book. Here, just check it out. It's a bestseller. It's worth it, and it aggregates a lot of research and studies over the last 70 years and more about the topic of motivation. What drives people? And it's a good summary to understand where we're coming from and what we know today. And the debate of extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation is that extrinsic motivation works short term. It seems to work, but it mostly works with physical labor. Like, it's the scientific management paradigm that the manager thinks, the worker executes and doesn't think. The manager plans, the worker just executes the plan. And that makes no sense anymore whatsoever in our world today. at least in most jobs, because we are knowledge workers. We work with our brain anyway. Why should it be split that someone thinks and we just execute with our brain? Whatever. This is thinking. This is creative problem solving. So it doesn't make sense to artificially split that. It just takes away people's autonomy. And autonomy is something that's very dear to us. That's something that motivates us. If people try to manipulate us with a bonus, try to manipulate our behavior, then we don't like that. Most people do not tend to like that, to be manipulated. We like to make our own decisions. We like our autonomy. And this is why bonuses and the carrots and sticks approach is so dangerous. And it can even lead to shortcuts, immoral, illegal shortcuts. I've talked about companies who, saw that very publicly. Like the diesel scandal, we had the financial crisis. So can lead to very unethical and unhealthy behavior for the company and for society as a whole sometimes. So don't take away people's autonomy. Trust in them. Trust that they are adults and cater to their autonomy. That's important. And this is difficult, trusting people. When you come from a background where you set deadlines and you dangled the bonus in front of people to make them do certain things, because the transition is not easy. When we talk about an agile transformation, the transition from this view to this is not smooth. When you take away the carrots and leave away the sticks, people are not immediately jumping for joy and saying, yes, we can be agile. Now we're going to perform as crazy. No. Actually, the opposite is often true. People are confused, scared, and they scream, please give us orders. Please just tell us what to do. I don't want to have more responsibility. I don't want to make decisions. I don't want to be self-managing. I don't want autonomy. And it often reminds me of a caged animal. An animal that has been living in confinement for its entire life, and then you set it free into the wild. The animal will usually not immediately run off into the wild and say, yes, I'm free. It will stay in the cage sometimes for days, because for many reasons. It doesn't trust it. It fears the unknown. It rather sees it knows the ups and downs of being in a cage, but it doesn't know what's out there. And a similar thing happens to us as well. And this phase is critical, because as coaches, we have to work closely with the leaders who are still doubting whether this could work. And when they see the behavior, like people not jumping for joy and people actually asking for orders and for less autonomy and less responsibility, then they will have the reflex, often the managers will have the reflex to say, hey, see, I told you. Agility doesn't work, or it doesn't work here, or it doesn't work with our people. Or I told you, if you don't give them a deadline, they will not work. And people seem to confirm that suspicion. But that's only because it takes a certain amount of time until people can actually trust the new world and find their bearings in the new environment and actually find their inner flame again, their intrinsic motivation. And from then on, it's just straight up. Okay, it's a boost. But you have to go through that valley in between. That's important. It's important to be there and to know what to expect. It's a little bit like when you coach single teams, where you have the Tuckman stages. And by the way, that was this week's article on the Agile Compass. The Tuckman stages, most people know them. The interesting thing is, for Agile coaches in an Agile transformation, or for Scrum Masters, what to expect from teams. because it's usually also that initially in the forming phase, everything seems fine. People seem to accept the idea of agility. And then in the storming phase, you get into lots of conflicts, and sometimes Scrum Masters or Agile coaches think, what did I do wrong? Oh, I messed up or something. No, it's just the way it is. It's just the phases that most teams go through. And the same is true for managers who go through or for people who go through this phase, and also managers then having to kind of understand what's going on. So a lot of stuff. There's just so much stuff. And metrics, resistance in teams. It's also an interesting topic, or going into psychology, the concept of the inner team and emotional regulation, and tools like the moving motivators. I love that. There's so much more in this ACE program that, of course, I cannot cover in a session here. But again, if you want to check it out, I hope I can do a webinar where I show more about the ACE program and can answer questions. But if you're interested, just let me know, send me a message. You can sign up directly if you're persuaded already. But if you still have questions, just let me know. Shoot me questions, and maybe we can set up a session where we can clarify that. So if you want to dive into that deeper. Today, what's important for me is an agile transformation is not a waterfall project. It should be done in an agile way. We need to clarify upfront that the agile transformation is not simply changing role descriptions and processes on the delivery teams, but it's actually encompassing much more the management. It's encompassing the portfolio, how you do your product portfolio, how to manage that, how you do budgeting. So there's much more to it. If you really want the benefits of agility, that has to be clarified first. Do you really want to be agile? Because agile is not faster. Cliff says that sometimes that agility is not your gas pedal in the car. Agility is your steering wheel. That's a common misunderstanding, that agility would make you faster. Yes, it could, but in a different way, because you steer around obstacles and you will actually arrive at your destination sooner than if you just press down the accelerator and run into a wall. But yeah, there's misunderstanding about agility, and we have to start with that when we do agile transformations. And then get into all the stuff with the view of the human being, with assuming positive intent. If you listen to my sessions a few times, you know what I'm talking about. Because that is what actually makes or breaks agility. That's why the ACE program focuses so much on psychology behind that, and coaching and the stuff. And yes, also on the technicalities, because there's also a gap. This is in traditional agile transformations, there seems to be that thing in the middle that is reorganization and frameworks and certifications, which is the least important part of it. And then at the one side is the view of the human being, the psychology, the motivation, understanding that and knowing how to help people reflect their behavior and change behavior without hurting them, without telling them that everything before was bad, because it wasn't. And on the other side are the specific engineering techniques, like a red-green refactor cycle, like test-driven development, automated testing in the first place, continuous integration and all that. And these two parts are often lacking. And I'm on both of these. I know that these human factors are important, and I'm an engineer at heart. I know that these technical things need to be right. They enable you to be agile. But only the two together can make you agile. And then, yes, you can add the frameworks and stuff in the middle. That's nice tools that can help you. But too many transformations just focus on that middle part, which is the least important. Maybe I'll make an infographic out of that or something. It seems like a logical picture for me. So, and this is why the ACE program exists in the first place. This is why I started this, why people actually pushed me to start this 1.5 years ago, or was it almost 2 years ago. And yeah, trying to help people actually focus on the stuff that really makes it work or breaks it if you don't focus on it. And to just have more agile coaches, leaders, agile practitioners who understand this and who know the tools to get it done. So yeah. And with that, I think my son is waiting, my sushi is waiting, and I'm gonna leave you into a hopefully nice weekend, and see you in the next live session. Maybe see you in the ACE program this year, and certainly probably see you on the Agile Compass, because it's free. Just sign up. Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.